Chapter 441, The Superstar Appeals for Help. Hearing this made Tang Xiu pensive. In the past few days, he had kept hearing Zhang Xinya's name. There were even billboards in many places in Shanghai advertising and endorsing Zhang Xinya. Was she really that hot? Mu Weining, the campus would actually go so far as to invite a star to help out in the freshman welcoming party? There was almost such a precedent in the past. But this time it's just a chance coincidence that happened due to someone knowing Zhang Xinya by chance, hence she was invited. Mu Weining replied with a light smile. Nowadays, the effect from celebrities seems to be helpful for education institutions. Hence, taking this opportunity to raise publicity. Tang Xiu nodded thoughtfully. All the major famous schools and universities today are competing for outstanding students. And the progress is very intense as well. Mu Weining agreed. Since the new term has just started as of now, it may have no use for the campus, yet it's hard to say for next year. With Zhang Xinya's signboard, I can tell that it will attract many excellent students later. Upon hearing this, Tang Xiu smiled and couldn't help but shake his head. Attending school? Nowadays, becoming a student in this kind of era was no longer important. Even if one would obtain a very good diploma certificate in the future, then so what? They were just not in a hurry to find a job and then work for others. He heard from others that many students must study 3 or 4 years in college, yet it would be much better for them to enter society earlier to learn workmanship. Of course, Tang Xiu didn't approve that opinion either. The knowledge one obtained in their schooling was the foundation, while studying workmanship was the practice. If intelligent students were able to combine the two, mastering knowledge from the textbook while allocating the time to practice it, it was the smartest choice to pick. Dusk finally came. Tang Xiu and Mu Weining called for takeout meals. After the duo finished eating in the villa, cleaned up and finished preparing, they drove to the campus. Yu Kai and the others had told them through the phone that they had been waiting for some time. Eldest brother Tang, Belmu, how did you? A strange expression was painted on Yu Kai's fair and pretty face. Well, I saw Mu Weining at noon, and she went along with me out of the campus to help me buy a zither, Tang Xiu arbitrarily explained. Did you get one? Yu Kai asked curiously. Tang Xiu shook his head and said, the quality of the zithers sold in those shops is kinda appalling, so I borrowed one. Yu Kai laughed softly and said, well, let's see what you can do tonight. Don't make our dorm lose face, mate. Giving him a calm smile as an answer, Tang Xiu turned to Mu Weining and said, are you going with us directly to the campus assembly hall? Or, I'll go back to my dorm first. Mu Weining answered. The others should be waiting for me there. Shifting his gaze to Yu Kai and Hu Qingsong, Tang Xiu said, one of you drive her back. Going to the female students' dorm from here will take quite some time. I'll go. I'll go. Yu Kai and Hu Qingsong spoke in unison. Mu Weining glanced at Tang Xiu and immediately said softly, no need to escort me there. I'll go there on foot myself. Having said that, she turned around and left. As Mu Weining's form disappeared in the distant corner of the pathway, Yu Kai glared at Hu Qingsong and said loudly, hey, Mu Weining is mine, mate. Don't compete with me. Likewise, Hu Qingsong gave him the same glare, and yelled, that's my line for you. Mu Weining is mine. Never fight with me over her. Looking at the two glaring at each other in speechless dismay, Tang Xiu immediately produced a wry smile and said, hey, can the two of you behave well? You both need not fight over a trivial thing like this. Xue Chao nodded his head in agreement and said, yeah, it's just a minor matter, guys. Besides, Mu Weining obviously likes Boss Tang. No way she will look at you even if any of you win the fight. Shut the hell up. Shut the fuck up. Yu Kai and Hu Qingsong immediately shouted at him. Afterward, the duo glared at each other, with a resentful look on their faces. They were no fools. How could they not see Mu Weiniang's interest in Tang Shou? Yet they were really reluctant to give up such a great stunning beauty of that level. After a short period of silence, Hu Qingsong suddenly turned his head to look at Tang Xiu and said seriously, "Eldest brother Tang, 3 rich meals plus I can drive the Audi A8 for 3 days." Huh? Tang Xiu stared blankly, looking confused as he asked, "What do you mean?" "I give you pretty Mu," Hu Qingsong said. Tang Xiu wasn't able to laugh or cry. He said, "Excuse me, you had better leave me out this. I don't have any interest in her. If you like her, feel free to go after her. Do we even have a chance unless you disappear from Earth?" Hu Qingsong rolled his eyes and ranted, "That will be a wasteful effort, so it would be better to extort you here than wasting our time. Let's cut the crap. 3 meals, and give me the Audi A8 to ride for 3 days. I'll change my target later. Why do I feel like I'm kinda a spendthrift fool who's being taken advantage because of my own generosity?" Tang Xiu wryly smiled and said, "Forget it. Whether or not you want to pursue her is your business anyway. You want 3 meals, right? No problem with that, and I can give you the car key anytime. Is that okay with you?" Nodding in satisfaction, Hu Qingsong then put his arms around Tang Xiu's shoulder and said with a smile, "Big bro, Tang, you're really cool. What about you, Yu Kai? Are you willing to give up reaching the Yellow River or not? If you don't, then you can keep chasing her. I really want to see you bump your head and start bleeding, and have a look at your embarrassing face empty-handed outcome. Fuck off." Yu Kai gave him a middle finger. He then looked at Tang Xiu and said, "Big bro, Tang, for me, will be 6 meals, plus driving your 2 Land Rover Range Rovers series for 6 days. Then I'll give up as well." Rolling his eyes at him, Tang Xiu then gave his car key to Yu Kai and said, "This will be annulled if any of you tell this matter to Zhao Liang, got it?" Yu Kai grinned and took the Land Rover car. He then blew a kiss to Tang Xiu and said with a smile, "Only a fool will tell Zhao Liang of this good deed. Though that kid has good looks, no way in hell can he be compared to me, no? But eldest brother, are you really not going to pursue Mu Weiniang? To me, she's the best woman, with the best figure and temperament. Definitely a woman of the topmost quality I've ever seen among the rest. I really am not interested in her, okay?" Tang Xiu rolled his eyes, and snappily said, "I think the most urgent thing for us now is to study, during which we must give some thoughts to our future. And it would be best if we can spare some time to do some business, as well. Eldest brother, it's a given for us to study when we got to college," Yu Kai couldn't help laughing. "But do you really intend to study so assiduously? As for doing business, please don't tease us and leave that out, will ya? Granted that if we did have the capital, it's not like we have that orientation either." "Big bro, Tang, don't speak in a dream." Hu Qingsong grinned and said, "Hey, shall we punch him to wake him up? For us college student to do business, that's simply a joke." Tang Xiu was devoid of any words. He was wondering if he had to tell them that he already started his business in high school. Would their eyes be staring wide? "Let us go then." Off to the campus assembly hall. In order not to show off what they had, the group didn't drive again, but strolled toward the campus assembly hall. When they came inside, they found that the seats had been arranged according to each department and class. There were enough to accommodate nearly 10,000 people in the auditorium. "Anyhow, big bro, Tang, you gotta head to the backstage since every participant who will perform from each class must sign in there. Also, there's a compartment in the backstage dedicated to the participants to recess. You can come out to the audience after you are finished with your performance," Hu Qingsong informed him. Holding the zither, Tang Xiu nodded after hearing this. After asking around, he quickly arrived at the hall corridor behind the assembly hall. There, he saw many students bustling about, who were looking rather naive and honest. He followed the name of the departments and classes marked on the doors in the corridor, and easily found the room where the students who would participate in the show were staying. A tender girl who was putting on makeup saw Tang Xiu sit next to her. She immediately turned her head and asked curiously, Tang Xiu, is that a zither you're holding? Yup, it's a zither, Tang Xiu said with an affable smile. So your show is playing the zither? The girl inquired further.
Yeah.
Singing and playing with it, Tang Xiu replied easily. That's amazing. The girl gave him a thumbs up and praised, to think that there are still boys who can play the zither, yet you actually can sing and play it. Anyhow, do you sing very well? Well, it's just so. Tang Xiu said with a chuckle. The girl nodded after hearing this and no longer chatted with him as she continued putting on her makeup. At this time, a dozen or so fellow students in this room were either putting on their makeup, making last-minute preparations, or familiarizing themselves with the upcoming show. Yet Tang Xiu took out his mobile phone and played with it after he sat down. He didn't need to practice to perform in the show, as he could sing and play the zither directly. Meanwhile, in another room a few dozen meters away from the history department's backstage rest area, several makeup artists surrounded Zhang Xinya and did her makeup. Behind her was a middle-aged woman wearing a forced wry smile, as her eyes glanced through the door outside from time to time. Creak. The door was pushed open and the vice president of Shanghai University walked in, a similar wry smile on his face. He quickly took a glance at Zhang Xinya before his eyes turned to the middle-aged woman and said, I can't find anyone. Shanghai University is not a music academy, after all. There are only so few teachers or students who are able to play the zither. I also have sent some people to go outside the campus to find one. I just don't know if the time is enough for them to come here. Vice President Li, we must find someone who can play the zither. The middle-aged woman frowned and said, we forgot to bring our house obbligato musician. And it's too late if we go back now. So? The middle-aged Vice President Li sighed. During his chat with the middle-aged woman and unable to find a way out, a university lecturer came hurrying into the room holding a list and said, I've found one. There's a student on our campus who signed up to sing and play with a zither. How about we let him try it? A relieved and happy expression appeared on Vice President Li's face as he quickly took the playlist. After reading the content on it, he immediately said, seize the time to quickly find him. The situation has already come to this point, so we have no choice but to try. Zhang Xinya, who was still being made up, frowned slightly. With a bit of a displeased expression, she said, Vice President Li, what are you talking about? You say it's only a desperate effort, like giving medicine to a dead horse? The genre we're about to sing can be considered a classical genre. Although that student signed up to sing and play the zither in the program, we can't be sure whether he's able to assist us or not. Besides, it's only half an hour left before the opening of your Shanghai University's freshman welcoming party. Even if we had been working together before, I'm afraid the result won't be as expected. Chapter 442, Let us just book a room. Zhang Xinya's reasoning was common sense and Vice President Li knew it. After hesitating for a moment, he forced a smile and said, there's nothing we can do, Xinya. As of now, there are only two choices: either you change the song and download the musical accompaniment from the internet, or let that student Tang Xiu perform the accompaniment for you. The expression worn by Zhang Xinya before was said in an indifferent manner, yet when she heard these words, she quickly turned around to take the stage playlist. Her eyes quickly glanced at the familiar name. Tang Xiu? Could it be him? Heaving a deep breath, Zhang Xinya then said seriously, I want to meet with this student named Tang Xiu first. I'll send someone to fetch him, Vice President Li nodded and replied. In the History Department Rest Lounge. While Tang Xiu was browsing websites, he heard someone calling his name outside the door. He slowly turned around to look at the person, then got up and walked over to ask, I'm Tang Xiu, and you are? A smile appeared on the woman's face as she said quickly, Hello student Tang Xiu, I'm a teacher from the Academic Affairs office in our campus. You can call me Teacher Wang. Anyways, we are in need of your assistance, can you come with me? What is it? Tang Xiu asked, confused. The woman said, please follow me if you want to know the details. Shanghai University's vice principal Li is waiting for you in another lounge. All right then. Tang Xiu nodded as he turned around to pick up his zither, and then left the classroom with the female teacher. Shortly after, right when Tang Xiu appeared in the doorway to the room Zhang Xinya was in, the star's gaze suddenly lit up, and there was a vaguely excited expression in her eyes. Her look made Vice Principal Li and her manager confused, especially when she rushed toward Tang Xiu and called out excitedly, Tang Xiu, I never expected I would see you here. Great. After glancing around inside the room, Tang Xiu replied with a smile, I was told by my classmates before that you would be a mysterious guest for our Shanghai University, as well as do the opening ceremony for our freshman welcoming party. Anyways, I heard you are also preparing a concert in Shanghai, right? Yeah. It's just that I happened to get acquainted with Vice Principal Li before, so I got invited to your campus sister school. Zhang Xinya said, all smiles. Great, let's hang around after the freshman welcoming party. Accompany me to a dinner tonight. Let's forget it. Tang Xiu said with a smile, the dorm is closed very early in the evening. It will be kinda troublesome if I come back too late. It will be okay. Zhang Xinya said without hesitation, let us just go book a room at the hotel if your dorm is closed early. Booking a room? At present, inside the room, the associate professor Li, the middle-aged woman manager and the female teacher who had just brought Tang Xiu, as well as several makeup artists, were all dumbfounded, looking at Zhang Xinya incredulously. Never had they dreamed that Zhang Xinya actually knew Tang Xiu. It was far beyond their imagination that she would actually say to go to a hotel and book a room with Tang Xiu. Who was Zhang Xinya? She was the most popular superstar in China. Not only was she popular in the country, she was also well known in all parts of Asia. She even had a big influence all over the world. Xinya, please be more prudent with your words and phrases, the manager hastily reminded her. Looking back at her, Zhang Xinya said with a sincere smile, it's all right, Sister Qin. Tang Xiu and I are very good friends. He has also helped me a lot. The manager produced a forced smile upon hearing her words. Immediately after, Zhang Xinya looked back at Tang Xiu and said with a serious smile, anyhow, Tang Xiu, I'm afraid I'm going to trouble you tonight. The song I'm going to sing now needs the accompaniment of a zither. Unconvinced, Tang Xiu said doubtfully, you need musical accompaniment from me? Isn't there? The accompanying music on my song was recorded on a CD, and we forgot to bring it, Zhang Xinya said helplessly, so you gotta help me. I'll treat you to a meal tonight. Tang Xiu hesitated before he nodded and said, it's fine with me, but to be honest, I don't understand modern musical scores. You should be able to play your song's musical accompaniment, right?
Yeah.
I can. Zhang Xinya nodded quickly. Then play it twice for me. I need to listen to it, Tang Xiu told her. Afterward, we'll try to cooperate with the play. If there's no problem, I'll play the zither musical part to accompany you singing. Got it. Zhang Xinya's smile was exceptionally bright. She then turned to see Vice President Li and said, could you wait outside first? Vice President Li hesitated and was somewhat feeling unrelieved inwardly. Although he didn't know about music, he hardly believed that Tang Xiu could learn the scores after hearing Zhang Xinya play it twice. What's more, Tang Xiu himself admitted that he didn't know musical scores, yet he actually signed up to play the zither and sing with it. That was simply a joke. Xinya, we'll stay on the side and listen. We promise we won't disturb you. After hesitating for a moment, Zhang Xinya proceeded to ignore them. Instead, she reached out to receive the zither handed over by Tang Xiu. After placing it on the table, she let out a smile and said, Tang Xiu, are you really able to learn it after I play it for you twice? I don't know. But I'll try my best, though. Tang Xiu shook his head as he answered. Vice President Li pursed his lips, while the manager rolled her eyes. They didn't understand. Why would Zhang Xinya agree with such a ridiculous proposal from Tang Xiu? Yet, those makeup artists standing at the side had an interested look when they saw Tang Xiu. The charming and handsome Tang Xiu gave them a very good impression. Ding. The zither play was full of classical styles. It was melodious and wafted throughout the room. As for Tang Xiu's eyes, they were fixated on Zhang Xinya's fingering play on the zither, as well as the strings she plucked, while his ears jittered from time to time, memorizing the zither play by heart. In the end, Zhang Xinya looked up and asked, "How is it?" "I only got 70 to 80%, play it once again," Tang Xiu replied with a nod. "All right." A sliver of admiration flashed in Zhang Xinya's eyes as she complied, and played it again. Afterward, she got up and asked with a smile, "How about now?" Closing his eyes, Tang Xiu silently recalled the scores for half a minute and then nodded, "It's pretty close." After saying that, he sat down right at the spot Zhang Xinya had vacated. His eyes closed again while his fingers rested on the strings. After stopping for a few seconds, his fingers began to slide. The beautiful zither tunes were melodious, mild, and flexible. The transition points between the musical notes were done well. It was akin to the flowing of water and feeling of floating clouds, as he quickly finished playing. "Great. You're amazing." Zhang Xinya's eyes sparkled brightly and the admiration within them was even richer. She had met many talented musicians, yet never once had she seen one as skillful as Tang Xiu. He could play it nearly perfectly just by listening to the notes twice. Despite there being some flaws in the song he played, being able to play like that for the first time was simply godlike. At the side, Vice President Li could only feel that Tang Xiu's play was very pleasant to hear, and his level was nearly at the same level as Zhang Xinya. However, the manager was different. She understood music, and she was once a professional musician. Hence, she could tell how good Tang Xiu's play was. At this time, if she didn't know that Tang Xiu had never heard this song beforehand, she would have suspected that he had learned it secretly. This song was a masterpiece composed by a very famous musician, and it took him several months to compose it for Zhang Xinya. A musical genius? Or was he a freakishly talented one? The manager couldn't describe her feelings at the moment. "I can feel there are still some notes that are not handled well," Tang Xiu faintly smiled and said, "Could you play it for me once again? I need to pay attention to the technique you're using." "No problem," Zhang Xinya said with a smile. Having said that, she began to play the scores again. However, Tang Xiu straightly released his spiritual sense this time and listened to her play with full concentration. He constantly paid attention to some issues in playing this music, as well as the method and technique in which Zhang Xinya handled several transition points in the musical scores. Eventually, when Zhang Xinya finished playing, Tang Xiu smiled and said, "That's nearly perfect. Now I'll play the zither while you sing. Let's do a rehearsal." "Got it." Giving a gesture to give the seat to Tang Xiu, Zhang Xinya then listened to Tang Xiu playing the zither and began to sing softly. The sound of the zither music was beautiful, and the singing was moving and touching. Despite it being the first time they cooperated, it seemed like they had worked together for many years. Their performance was seamless and simply flawless. By the end of the last musical note, the manager clapped her applause. There was a shocked expression in her eyes, yet they were also burning with eagerness, as she said quickly, "Student Tang Xiu, can we discuss something?" "What issue?" Tang Xiu asked. "Sign a contract to be a singer under my agency," the manager quickly offered. "I assure you that the contract that will be given to you won't be much worse than Xinya's." Pfft. Zhang Xinya couldn't help laughing after hearing this. "I'm sorry. I don't have much interest in music," Tang Xiu said. "Besides, our campus vice president Li is still here, as well. Are you not afraid of him being angry with you poaching me?" Vice Principal Li was confused. What's the situation exactly? Isn't Tang Xiu playing well, or not? Vice President Li, student Tang's play is more than just than that. His play is simply skillful to the extreme. The immersion in the zither's tunes, the melodies, all of them are exactly the same as the original. After listening to his play, even I felt like it's much more spiritual than the original. I dare say that he's definitely a musical genius, and it's unlikely that anyone can be much better than him. Being praised made somewhat Tang Xiu embarrassed. He lifted his hand to touch the bridge of his nose and secretly forced a smile inwardly. So, he's really that good? Vice Principal Li asked in astonishment. If he's not, would I even poach him right in front of your face? Mind if we discuss it, Vice President Li? You can open any conditions as long as you expel him from your campus, the manager said. Shaken and surprised as he was, Vice President Li gazed at Tang Xiu before he turned his vision toward the manager again. He then forced a wry smile and said, well, Tang Xiu is our Shanghai University's student. There's no way I can expel him arbitrarily whatsoever. Besides, for you to pay attention to him that much, I can't bear to lose such an outstanding student either. Bah, you're no fun. The manager rolled her eyes at Vice President Li. Chapter 443, The falling flowers are yearning for love, yet the heartless brook ripples on. Sister Qin, it's no use to lure Tang Xiu. Zhang Shenya tenderly smiled and said, he wouldn't agree to it however good your offer may be. All right, since we've found the right person, the freshman welcoming party should be fine, you can go take care of your work. Let's wait for the host to call us, and then we'll perform on the stage. All right. Vice President Li nodded. Afterward, Zhang Xinya continued having her makeup done with the makeup artists, while Tang Xiu stroked the strings, flashback scenes of playing the zither in the immortal world in his mind. Sweet as well as heart-rending scenes of the past. Tang Xiu, you see, I didn't have many idols since I was small. Maybe it's because I'm too smart and there had been few people more intelligent than me. But you become my idol. I'm sure you will become a famous superstar in a short time if you enter the entertainment industry. Zhang Xinya said with a smile. Coming back from his reverie, Tang Xiu chuckled, I'm not interested in becoming a star. I'm a student, and my studies are the most important thing. I know that becoming a star doesn't interest you. I was just a bit regretful because of the matter just now, that's all, Zhang Xinya said with a smile. Anyhow, let's mark a date for after the freshman welcoming party. If your dorm is closed we can go to a hotel. Zhang Xinya, can you not say, go to a hotel? People may misunderstand it, you know. Tang Xiu reluctantly said, I don't care about it, since I'm a man. But you're a woman, a big star as well. You have to be prudent with your words. Why should I be afraid? Zhang Xinya said with a smile. I may be concerned if it was someone else, but I don't care if I have an affair with you. Worst comes to worst I will just announce you as my boyfriend, so as to avoid others having crooked ideas about me. Don't. Have mercy, will you? Tang Xiu forced a smile and said, you are a superstar and a goddess in many men's minds. If you were to announce me as your boyfriend, I'd become a bug that anyone wants to trample anywhere I go. Some will probably pour cold water on me while I'm sleeping. Zhang Xinya couldn't help giggling and let out a brilliant smile. As time passed by, the Shanghai University's freshman welcoming party finally began. After the university leader's speech, the hostess stood under the spotlight, watching the dense audience, the campus's teachers and students below the stages. She then smiled and said, everyone, to fuel our celebration for our campus freshman welcoming party, our Shanghai University's leaders have invited a mysterious, honored guest tonight. Do you all want to know who this mysterious guest is? Thousands of freshmen, including a lot of seniors, looked confused. Except for a handful of people, the rest shook their heads, indicating that they didn't know who the guest was. The hostess smiled. Well, since nobody can guess, then let me announce. I believe that you will be excited and jubilant once I announce her name. Even I, at this moment, am very excited and can't wait to see her performance. All right. Let us invite the world superstar, Ms. Zhang Xinya, who brings us the classic song, Oasis in the Desert. Wearing an evening gown, Zhang Xinya walked from the side door of the backstage. Followed by the shining spotlight, she smiled and stood on the stage. Heavens! Am I not dreaming? It's really Zhang Xinya? God! I'm really excited. Zhang Xinya is actually in our campus? She'll sing at our campus freshman welcoming party this year? Can anyone pinch me? Am I dreaming or something? What a goddess! I can finally see the goddess of my dreams. Zhang Xinya. I love you. All the students in the campus auditorium were excited. Everyone got up from their seats and waved their hands vigorously, loudly shouting and yelling to express their excitement. Holding the microphone, Zhang Xinya stood in the spotlight and smilingly said, "Thank you, everyone. I'm very honored to be invited by Shanghai University's leaders to come to your campus to attend this year's freshman welcoming party. After looking at your youthful faces and lovely appearance, I have to tell you the truth. I'm very happy. So very happy to meet you. As you all know, Shanghai University is a major university in China, and those who can enroll here are the elite. You'll all become the pillar of our society and country in the future. Today I'll present everyone with a new song. I hope you'll like it." Having said that, as the audience below quietened down, the students sat down right as the melodious tune of a zither reverberated. The whistling of the north wind and the musical notes created a desolate atmosphere. For a moment, all the teachers and students in the campus auditorium thought they saw an endless desert. Once I saw a place in my dream. It's a paradise in the desert. Accompanied by the sound of the zither, Zhang Xinya held the microphone and affectionately sang. Her voice was a feast to the ear. The enchanting zither melody accompanied her, as she seemed to pull everyone into an endless desert. Gradually, as her voice undulated in the song, the audience's eyes suddenly lit up, as though they were seeing an oasis in the middle of the yellow sandy desert. The zither melody and her singing voice reverberated for 4 to 5 minutes. As Zhang Xinya's singing gradually faded, and the last note of the zither dissipated in the air, everyone got up and waved their arms excitedly, shouting, "One more! One more song!" Yet Zhang Xinya didn't rush to leave. Instead, she stood in the spotlight and smilingly said, "To be honest, I'd love to sing again for you. But today is your holy day, and there are still many people behind waiting to perform. Hence, I won't delay everyone's time. If everyone likes my song, please wait for my concert at Shanghai New World Center 4 days later. I'll be looking forward to seeing everyone there." After saying that, she then left under everyone's excited yells. Behind the stage, Tang Xiu had already packed the zither as he saw Zhang Xinya coming over. He gave her a thumbs up and smiled, saying, "You sang well." A brilliant smile appeared on Zhang Xinya's face. Previously she didn't have any passion at all when performing at Shanghai University. She wouldn't have come here if it wasn't because of her friend's invitation. However, the situation was different now after meeting Tang Xiu, the person she wanted to see the most. "You were great as well," replied Zhang Xinya. Giving a tranquil smile in response, Tang Xiu then picked up the zither and said, "Anyways, I gotta go back first. I need to prepare for my performance. I've just finished mine, can I go with you?" Zhang Xinya's eyes turned bright as she hurriedly asked. "No." Tang Xiu shook his head and said with a smile, "If you were to come with me, my classmates would probably see us and become restless for a long time. Go rest. Or you can go watch the other performances." Feeling a bit disappointed inside, Zhang Xinya reluctantly nodded, "Then I'll go watch the other performances. But I'm looking forward to your performance, though." Tang Xiu smiled and nodded. When he returned to the rest lounge for the history department students, he saw Han Qinggu there, frowning. It was unknown what she was thinking. "Where have you been, Tang Xiu?" Han Qinggu immediately asked upon seeing Tang Xiu. "The campus leader was looking for me just now, asking for my assistance. Just finished with the matter, so I came back here," Tang Xiu said. Han Qinggu already knew that the campus leader had called Tang Xiu. Therefore, when she heard his reply, she nodded and curiously asked, "What did he ask your assistance for?" "He wanted me to accompany someone with musical play." "Accompaniment?" Stunned, Han Qinggu stared blankly at the zither held by Tang Xiu. A thought flashed in her head as she exclaimed, "So, the accompaniment for Zhang Xinya just now, was you?" "Hey, don't shout." Tang Xiu hurriedly interrupted her, before saying in a low voice, "Do you want for everyone to know?" Knowing Tang Xiu's low-key disposition, Han Qinggu immediately sighed in praise in a low voice. "That zither accompaniment was just awesome. I thought it was a recorded zither play. I would never have thought that it was you. How was it? Does Zhang Shenya look beautiful?"
Yeah.
Tang Xiu was silent for a moment and then answered, "More beautiful than you." "You?" Han Qinggu was incensed, yet she knew that the occasion was improper. She could only endure, even though she really wanted to beat Tang Xiu. However, she still went to Tang Xiu's side and twisted his waist. Turning her head, she said, "Your performance is listed at the 17th position. Just listen to the announcement. Go to the backstage and wait to get called." Tang Xiu couldn't tell that he had hurt her due to his words. However, after seeing Han Qingwu's hurt and angry face, he secretly forced a smile. It was not his intention to hurt her, yet the woman always appeared before him. In the last row, in the corner of the auditorium, Qi Nan held her arms, leaning on the corridor wall with a faint smile on the corner of her mouth. It's said that those on the waterfront are the first to see the rising moon. Because she was always in Shanghai, and often followed Tang Xiu around, she became aware of many things about Tang Xiu. Just like now. If his subordinates in the Everlasting Feast Hall knew that Tang Xiu would go on stage in the Shanghai University's auditorium tonight, every one of them would probably want to come and watch. But in the end, she was the only one who could enjoy their boss performance. She was looking forward to it, anticipating her boss' wonderful performance. In the first row, Mu Weining had a smile on her face while listening to her three dorm sisters chat in low voices. They, too, looked forward to Tang Xiu's performance. Suddenly, Jiang Fian turned her head to Mu Weining and said, "Sis Weining, I remember hearing that Tang Xiu would take part in tonight's show. When will he go on stage?" Li Xinjie and Hu Wei exchanged glances, before they also looked at Mu Weining. "How would I know?" Mu Weining said with a smile. "I'm looking forward to Tang Xiu's performance." Jiang Fian said, "I'm sure he'll get everyone's high appraisals." "Fian, aren't you thinking way too highly of Tang Xiu?" Li Xinjie tenderly smiled and said, "I heard he'll be playing the zither. Do you think a grown man could play the zither while singing well? Let us just look at what he has in store for us, okay?" Hu Wei also commented, "Besides, Tang Xiu is a male student. The number of male students who can play zither nowadays is very few, so let us not expect much from him. Anyhow, it's kind of a pity that Xue Chao isn't taking part in the talent show, though." Chapter 444, Leaving One's Mark at the First Shot. "Wei Wei, you wouldn't have taken a liking to Xue Chao, right?" Li Xinjie gave Hu Wei a strange look. "Even if I like him, what's wrong with it?" Hu Wei's lips curled up as she said, "Don't look down on him, the boys hailed from the mountain are the most honest and simple. I don't need my boyfriend to look handsome, either do I demand of him to originate from a rich family. It's fine as long as he is a good man." Nodding thoughtfully, Li Xinjie said, "You're right, Wei Wei. Weighing a person by their wealth and evaluating someone by appearance is superficial. Shui Chao's disposition is straightforward, good-natured, and honest. I think he's good, too. Looking stunned, Mu Weining turned her head to Hu Wei. She then shook her head and said, "It's rather out of place for you to be with Shui Chao, Wei Wei." "Sis Weining, why do you think so?" Hu Wei frowned and said, "I think we are suitable. Had you known Shui Chao for many years, and you actively pursued him, maybe. But now it's too late." Mu Weining sighed. "Give a reason." Hu Wei grunted with a displeased expression. "I went out with Tang Xiu this afternoon, and we talked about various topics." Mu Weining said, "One of which was about Shui Chao. He's already married. Not only does he have a wife, but he already has a son as well. Now, don't tell me you want to become the third wheel in their marriage?" "What did you say?" Hu Wei abruptly got up, looking incredulous. "Shui Chao already has a wife and a child, should I repeat it again?" Mu Weining said, "As a matter of fact, Shui Chao and his wife fell in love with each other when they were in high school. However, they don't have a marriage certificate. Not only don't they have a marriage certificate, they also have a child now. Several days ago, Shui Chao did a heroic act and was injured by some criminals. Tang Xiu went to the hospital to see him, after which, he got the family of 3 to live in his villa. Thus, you should give up, Wei Wei." Hu Wei fell into a daze for a while. She looked to be at a loss. She indeed had her heart moved by Shui Chao, though her feelings toward him had yet to truly develop. Yet, the words, deeds, and behavior shown by Shui Chao had deeply attracted her. In another place, Yu Kai looked at the students performing on the stage. He shook his head and said, "Bah, their performance is just so-so. It's hardly worth to be in the freshman welcoming party. If it was a big stage, they'd not even be worthy to be up there. I don't know how good eldest brother Tang is. It would be too disappointing if his level was only to this degree." Zhao Liang, who had just arrived, rolled his eyes and said, "Yu Kai, I don't like what you said. If eldest brother Tang can perform to this level, it's already pretty good. Besides, he's going to play the zither. Can you even do that?" "I don't, since I haven't learned it. But who knows if he has?" Yu Kai grunted. "No way you can learn it." Shui Chao echoed, "But I can tell you'd surely be able to learn the subject if it was about flirting. But as for learning to play the zither, nope, I don't buy it." An angry and ashamed look emerged on Yu Kai's face as he raised his fist toward Shui Chao, yet he lowered his head and dared not retort. "Well, we came to join in on the fun, guys," Hu Qingsong said with a smile. "Besides, big bro, Tang didn't sign up for this himself, it was that Belle Mu who pitted him. So let us not expect him to show an outstanding performance, okay? I think it's already enough for him to be able to play the zither and sing smoothly." Dozens of meters away from their place, several female students gathered together. The topic was still about the opening song by Zhang Xinya. However, Yi Lianyan didn't join in. She held her arms and watched the students on stage. That one summer vacation had transformed and made her mature quickly. And now that she came to study at Shanghai University, the issue she was always thinking about was what Tang Xiu had said to her, hoping that she would later be able to work in Nine Dragons Island. She knew that Tang Xiu was an extraordinary big shot. And now she was actually regretting not asking Tang Xiu about what kind of business he did, and in what city he would live in later. What's more, what that made her most helpless was that her mobile phone was accidentally lost, hence losing Tang Xiu's cell number as well. Due to that, she already planned to go to Jingmen Island and find Mo An to ask about Tang Xiu's contact number when November's holiday came. "What are you thinking about, third sis?" Nearby, a female student touched Yi Lianyan's arm and asked, grinning. Finally realizing that she got distracted, Yi Lianyan immediately shook her head and said with a smile, "Nah, I wasn't thinking about anything. It's just that the performances are kind of ordinary, so I just got bored." Anyways, how about going back to the dorm? Or the campus library? It should be better. No way. The girl said, what if Zhang Xinya were to come out and sing again? That would be a big loss. Let's wait for a while. Besides, you've been studying every day, reading the textbooks after going to the military training. I think you'll become a nerd, girl. Well, the more books read the more you'll learn. This way we'll have better jobs in the future, don't you think? Yi Lianyan said with a smile. What job are you looking for anyway? The girl smirked and said, anyhow, you got good looks, third sis. You'll surely be able to catch a rich husband in due course, and you'll be able to live comfortably in the future. Giving her white eyes, Yi Lianyan snappily said, rather than relying on the heaven, places, parents and a man, it's better to rely on yourself, girl. Besides, I already have someone as my goal. What's your goal exactly? Several other girls gathered together and asked. Gripping her fists, Yi Lianyan confidently said, I must have 1/10 of his wealth in the future. Who is he exactly? The 3 female students asked in unison. You won't know him even if I tell you. Yi Lianyan answered with a smile. Bah, 3 middle fingers were raised, as they stopped discussing the topic. As the performances ended one by one, Tang Xiu's turn quickly arrived. Then, the hostess announced, next one, the show presented to us now will be brought by a new student from the history department, Tang Xiu. He will sing Fairy Dream accompanied by a zither he himself will play. So, let's invite Tang Xiu to the stage. Inside the auditorium, Qinan's eyes lit up, while Mu Weiniang's group stopped moving, and Yu Kai's group had their eyes turned wide. However, Yi Lianyan looked blank for a while, yet she shook her head, as she felt that it was only someone with the same name. However, when a familiar figure walked onto the stage while holding the zither that had been set up, Yi Lianyan abruptly stood, looking in disbelief as she saw Tang Xiu sit in front of the zither. She rubbed her eyes as to make sure that her eyes were not seeing things. It's really him? He turns out to be a freshman at Shanghai University, too? After making sure that she wasn't dreaming, Yi Lianyan trembled due to excitement. If not because Tang Xiu was about to perform, she wouldn't have been able to stop herself to immediately rush toward Tang Xiu, interrogating him as to why he didn't tell her that he was also a new student at Shanghai University. On the side of the stage, Han Qinggu calmly held her arms, looking at Tang Xiu's face from the side. While in the dark corner about 10 meters away from her, Zhang Xinya, wearing a mask and a duckbill cap, watched Tang Xiu with sparkling eyes. Tang Xiu sat on the chair in front of the zither. As the light gradually faded and only a spotlight shined on him, his eyes slowly swept over the teachers and students under the stage. Afterward, he slowly shut his eyes under everyone's watchful eyes. A few seconds later, as his eyes suddenly opened, his fingers glided over the strings like running water. In the wake of the zither's musical melody, the sounds of running water, the white bird's happy chirping flowed. Within just a dozen seconds, the vibration and tremulous zither music had pulled everyone into a wonderful world. The wonderful world filled with green hills and blue waters, waterfalls and various colorful butterflies. It was like the fairyland in a dream. In the misty hill amidst the fog, someone sat cross-legged playing the zither. Amid the wonderful, soul-stirring zither music, more and more white birds were flying and dancing in the air, as they sang and let out longing, joyful cries. BRR. Standing at the side of the stage, Han Qingwu's delicate body suddenly shook. Her pupils instantly contracted as her body turned rigid and stiff in an instant. She knew those music tunes. This zither music was familiar to her the moment she heard it. She was sure that she had never heard this music before, yet she didn't know why it brought such an inexplicable familiarity to her. Afterward, under the pull of the zither music, Han Qingwu felt that the world before her disappeared. As her sight returned and turned clear and bright, she was already standing in the summit of a hill. There, she saw herself, or rather, a woman that looked almost exactly like herself. She stood on the side of a person playing the zither. She then rose, dancing lightly and gracefully. Her white dress fluttered in the wind as a beautiful fairy moving as in a dance. She was like the fairy from the ninth heaven, moving and dancing heartily in harmony with the zither music. Time and years passed by in a hurry like a dream for the immortals. The strange tone could actually make everyone understand the meaning of the song. From this strange angle and perspective, Han Qingwu watched the fairy dance, and then gazed at the back of the person playing the zither. She couldn't hear the song, yet her mouth incited the words in the song ahead of time. It was as though she already knew the lyrics, knew this magical-like musical note. At the same time, it seemed like a flash of lightning bolted inside her mind. In that sudden moment, fragments, like flying butterflies, gushed out from the crack of lights. It was like she recalled a memory she once had, as the present world fused with the immortal world before her. In the boundless immortal ocean, I have poured out my feelings, as Qingqing's beauty dances like dust in my fairy dream. The soft singing voice reverberated, giving off gentle and tender feelings. From the zither music, everyone could feel the zither player's love. It was a deep, profound love toward the dancing woman. It seemed like the moment was frozen in time, as the warmth of love seemed to moisten everyone. Gradually, everyone was captivated and enthralled therein. Tang Shou sang and played the zither, while rising the curtain of memories, recalling the scenes past. His fingers moved and sprung more smoothly. As the scenes continued to wander in his mind, it soon entered the last arc. When the song was coming to an end, the pictures in his mind suddenly changed. It changed into the scene when he crossed the tribulation. When he got ambushed. By his most intimate friend. By the woman he loved the most. His fury and rage suddenly exploded in his chest. The sound of the zither changed, as the world in front of everyone suddenly transformed. Heinous fiends and demons torrentially dashed to the heaven, as an ocean of blood and mountain of corpses filled the infernal hell. All of a sudden, everyone was screaming, whether it was in the hellish inferno or inside the auditorium in reality. Chapter 445, Fragments of Memories. The abrupt transformation of heaven into hell caused everyone to become disillusioned and cry out in alarm. The present modern world in front of everyone changed to a fairyland full of birds' twitter and fragrance of flowers. Then it was abruptly changed into heinous, fiery, and wicked Ashura hell. It was dreadful, terrifying, shuddering. On the side of the stage, Han Qingwu's body shook as she swayed and suddenly fell to the floor. Although the scene before her turned into a terrifying hellish inferno, yet it was not this scene that caused her to fear. It was a fragment of memory that sprang inside her mind. The desolate mountains filled with the chilling cold wind. The snow-capped white glaciers. A familiar yet unfamiliar face unfolded. A path and a silhouette with the power to destroy the heaven and ruin the earth came together. Yet, she couldn't distinguish whether it was reality or illusion. She didn't know why would these fragmentary images appeared inside her mind. In the boundless sky, in the wake of the terrifying lightning flash strike, along with the violent and powerful thunderstorm, the fiery violent wind amidst the fury rains, the roar of thunders, and the raging spark of electricity. The horrifying and terrifying scene constituted the end of the world. There, she saw it. At this end of the world, she saw a stalwart figure standing high up in the sky as sword lights swept in the sky, destroying the siege of wind and rain, sweeping off the waves of the end of the world. No. Han Qingwu saw herself and several men attacking the man whose power could tear the heaven and earth asunder. At this moment, she didn't know why she felt anguished, wishing herself to die in that instant when she attacked the imposing stalwart figure. Clang. Finally, the last thunder-like sound blasted in Han Qingwu's ear. As she was inundated by the painful tide of suffering, the memory fragments in her mind changed into specks of starlight as it then dissipated. The infernal hell before her was also torn to pieces as darkness filled her consciousness and she fainted. Inside the auditorium, the audience shut their eyes, as deep sorrow painted their faces. Tears fell streaming down their faces. Their wrinkled brows slowly stretched, yet the entire scene was as though dead, engulfed by a silence after the zither music had completely faded out. At this time, one could hear the sound of a falling needle on the floor. After keeping the jade wind zither, Tang Xiu slowly raised his head. As he subconsciously raised his arm to touch his face, he found 2 lines of tears unexpectedly falling down his face. His gaze slowly swept the audience in the auditorium. He instantly released his spiritual sense and saw a familiar face. Huh? Tang Xiu suddenly creased his brows and immediately picked up the jade wind zither. He walked toward Han Qinggu on the side of the stage. While everyone had yet to realize and notice the situation, Tang Xiu's finger pointed at several acupoints on Han Qinggu's body. Then, he quickly vanished through the side door of the backstage. What happened to me? In the corridor behind the auditorium, it was Qi Nan who came to her senses first. When she opened her eyes, she couldn't wipe the tears from her face. She looked up to the stage and was slightly startled, for she couldn't see her boss's figure there. What kind of power was that just now? Qi Nan shuddered. Awe and fear flashed in her eyes. She was certain that there was something bizarre in her boss's zither music. She had experienced innumerable battles, yet she fell into an enthralled state after hearing this zither music. She even though that if she heard it again, she would simply become a lamb to be slaughtered and wouldn't be able to fight back. Previously, though she was in awe and venerated Tang Xiu, but it was only because of his identity. Now, however, the awe, fear and veneration she felt toward Tang Xiu were because of his new terrifying method. At the same time, in another place on the side of the stage, Zhang Xinya also sobered up. She quickly glanced at the stage, but Tang Xiu's figure was no longer there. At the moment, she could hear the thumping of her heartbeat and felt somewhat chilled. She had seen Tang Xiu's terrifying side once in Hong Kong. There, Tang Xiu's ruthless and brutal methods in killing his enemies had long been deeply carved inside her heart. Tonight, after experiencing the beauty and wonder of the immortal world, she experienced the horror of the infernal hell yet again. She couldn't disperse the deep sadness and sorrow inside the heart for a long time. In the past, she had never thought that playing the zither could actually reach this realm. The world created by the zither music and lyrics was seemingly real, causing people who heard it to face it as though reality. Among the audience inside the auditorium, Yu Kai, Hu Qingsong, and the others slowly woke up. However, they discovered that Tang Xiu had disappeared from the stage, as they brushed the tears from the corner of their eyes. Why am I feeling so grieved and uncomfortable? Hu Qingsong groaned lowly. His voice was full of a northeast accent.
Yeah.
It's very depressing and feels so sad. Xuechao nodded. Yu Kai looked around and found that the others around him were also just like him. Almost everyone wiped away their tears, and the sadness on their faces had yet to subside as well. He pressed his hand to his chest and murmured, to think that zither play could reach such a level. Eldest brother Tang seems to have achieved an unprecedented level, right? Previously, I never believed that music could shake people's soul, neither did I believe that music could make people see illusions. But now I believe it. Hu Qingsong, Xuechao, and the others turned their heads to look at Yu Kai's expression. Hu Qingsong then said, "Me too. Big bro, Tang truly played awesomely. He made me feel the realm of the immortals as well as the infernal hell. Me as well. Boss Tang is an idol from now henceforth." Xuechao nodded repeatedly and gave his thumbs up. In another direction, Jiang Fian erased the tears on her face and grabbed Li Xinjia's arm. With a sobbing and choked voice, she said, "Xinjia, why do I feel pain inside me?" Looking at her, Li Xinjia had a complex expression on her face, and there was also a bit of sadness in her voice. "We have been affected by the zither music. I saw the others around, everyone is the same as us. Tang Xiu's skill in playing the zither is really too amazing. He's simply the zither god. God. Silently and calmly sitting at the side, Mu Weiniang's heart intensely palpitated. She suddenly felt that Li Xingjia's description was suitable. It was true. Tang Xiu was indeed a godlike existence in zither play. Besides that, he was also a deity in painting and calligraphy. How could there be such a skillful man in this world? A man whose abilities are like a god's? After running into him in this lifetime, can I still have a liking for other men? Mu Weiniang let out a bitter smile. There was an indescribable feeling she couldn't explain that appeared in the deepest place of her heart. In another place, Yi Lianyan's eyes filled with mist. She had experienced the taste of the heaven and hell. She suddenly realized that what she knew about Tang Xiu was far too little. The zither music. The lyrics. She didn't know how to describe it. Her wish to rush out and seek Tang Xiu turned especially more intense at this time. On the stage, the hostess wiped away the tears on her face. She quickly adjusted her emotions as she walked over and took the microphone. While looking at the campus leaders and students who still had not recovered, she was silent for a few seconds before slowly asking, "Everyone, how was Tang Xiu's performance?" More than 10 seconds passed by. Yet, no one responded. The audience was still adjusting their emotions, savoring and pondering the scenes they had just experienced. Finally, the leader of Shanghai University got up from his chair and said in a deep and heavy voice, "It was good. Amazing. I heard countless of songs with zither music, yet none of them can be compared with Tang Xiu's level." He then began to applaud. Immediately afterward, everyone else immediately began to applaud unceasingly as well. Within just 10 seconds after, the auditorium was filled with extremely loud noises of applause. Everyone was applauding and exclaiming in praise. The applauses had woken Han Qingwu from her stupor. What happened to me? After opening her eyes, Han Qingwu found herself in a dark place, but the shaking applauses were loudly reverberating inside the entire auditorium. She propped herself on her arms and sat with difficulty. Suddenly, a sad emotion surged inside her heart. At the same time, her body turned stiff and upright as fragments of memories continued to flash inside her mind. It was the memory fragments she saw when she listened to the zither music during the play. She saw many scenes, she saw many people whose appearances were vague, and she also saw herself. However, these fragments were not coherent, as though she was seeing pictures. The pictures were very familiar, yet they felt very strange at the same time. What are these scenes, exactly? Han Qingwu felt like her head was about to split. The splitting headache was so unbearable that she covered her head with her hands. She desperately wanted to see more of those memory fragments. Yet, when the series of pictures disappeared, she only felt an uncomfortable headache and couldn't remember what the pictures were all about at all. She slowly got up. Her complexion was pale when she headed to the backstage. At this moment, she hadn't realized that she was already soaked in sweat, and her legs were slightly trembling. Inside the male student dorm building, Tang Xiu was leaning on his Land Rover as he looked at the approaching Qinan, who was coming after he had phoned. He handed the Jadewind zither over to her and said, "Keep this. And give it back to Wei Jiangbing tomorrow." When Qinan's complex eyes met with Tang Xiu's indifferent expression, she hesitantly replied, "Boss, you played really well, but I'm a bit confused. Tell me what you feel." Tang Xiu said, "Your music play and singing voice were full of happiness and joy at first. But why did the mood change greatly in the last part? With a fairy dream title, wasn't the artistic concept and mood to be related with happiness? My heart was stirred up by emotions to some extent, hence the play strayed from the intended line." Tang Xiu said indifferently. Qinan suddenly realized something, causing her fear to grow. She didn't understand exactly what had happened to Tang Xiu, but she was certain that it was absolutely tragic, the story behind it extremely sad. "Then I'll go back first, boss. Off you go. Tang Xiu waved his hand, as he then pulled out a cigarette. While watching Qi Nan disappear in the darkness of the night, he suddenly let out a self-deprecating smile. I thought I had suppressed those emotions. Fortunately, zither music doesn't have offensive intent in its artistic mood, otherwise everyone in the auditorium tonight would have turned into an idiot. He shook his head. Just as he was thinking of leaving with Zhang Xinya to the Blue Star Villa complex area, he finally recalled that he had given the car's keys to Yukai, so he turned around and walked into the dormitory. The threads of feelings and affections. He had sheared them constantly, yet its inner essence still made him fall into that chaotic mood. Hence, he must put them aside for the time being. He must stop thinking about them. One day in the future, after he had enough strength to solve this problem, he would awaken Han Qingwu's memories to make everything clear, as well as to finish everything.